Hello, everyone, and welcome back, or welcome to Raw Beef. It has been quite a while since. Let me try to. It's been quite a while since I've really posted anything on YouTube, and there are multiple reasons for that. The main one is that I work two jobs now to pay for college, which is fine. That's cool and all. I know it's been a while for you guys, so I got a new Tupac poster over there, which I'm very happy about. That doesn't really involve anything that we're talking about today, but I just thought that was a pretty neat and interesting, subtle change in the background of... I'm really glad you guys can't see under this couch behind me, because it's not exactly dirty, but some organization is in order. One thing I wanted to talk about today, and I know I usually have some sort of video or specific topic that I like to hit on, and today we do have a topic, but I'm in the middle of doing psychology homework right now, and not for my therapist or anything, like to become a therapist. Most of you guys already know this, but that's the goal right now, at least, projected for a few years ahead, but that is the goal. That's the long-term goal. And yesterday I had a very interesting phone call, and this is something, honestly, a few years ago I would have never have expected to have said to me. My psychiatrist called me. I've had the same psychiatrist since I was 13. I'm 18 now. And when I was 13, it was major depressive disorders, suicidal thoughts, drug abuse, ODD, oppositional defiant disorder. All this really to me, bullshit. From my perspective, to me, I'm an addict. I am a substance abuse disorder of the hallucinogenic criteria, which there's a specific criterion for that I could name, but honestly I don't really believe in it. I exhibited all these different disorders, and mainly depression, not really any anxiety, and then eventually they move on. They're like, well, you have irrational changes in your behavior, so they're like, it's got to be multiple personality disorder, or DID, or however you want to put it. There's a politically correct way to say that these days, but they're all, relatively have the same meaning. And all these different diagnoses and CBT therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, which is one of my favorite therapies, when I'm excited to do with clients, but at the same time I dislike it in some regards. But this is all preemptive to what I'm about to say. I was on Seroquel, I believe it's omeprazole or something. It's a serotonin inhibitor. Let's look up exactly what Seroquel does, so I don't mess up. Let's see here. Antipsychotic. Yeah, it's an antipsychotic. Anyways, it's a second generation antipsychotic, or atypical antipsychotic. The reason it's quitep. There's a longer name, but basically I was on the maximum dose for that. And as you guys know, I've been a juvie before and all those other things. And the main root cause of all the issues in my life was drug abuse. But the people who were trying to help me fix my mental health issues were focused on every other aspect of my life, like how is it at school, what exercise you're getting, and those things are all very important and extremely important. I mean, I had a terrible social life. I don't believe that I had friends, but they didn't really understand the more personal side of my life, the one that I didn't share with anyone else. And that's to me, where mental health problems really come from. It's not what you do when people are bullying you or whatever. It's what you do afterwards when you go home and how you resonate with that. It's not really about this or that. And, well, if you exercise and eat better, routine classically is the opposite of mental health problems. If you have some form of routine, whether it be spiritual, physical, or mental, but it really should be all three. But when my psychiatrist called me, I had begun to wean off of Seroquel more than a year ago because I felt that it made my mind and my body as well feel constricted. I felt held back almost. When I was younger, I honestly believe that when I was like 9 to 10, I was more intelligent than I am now, just based on what I could get done and my comprehension level of things. I mean, I've had a few concussions, and you could even say that they focused on that for a while. I went to therapies for brain damage, and they thought that was the issue or this was the issue. But now, I was on 300 milligrams, which is the max. I don't know anyone else that took 300 milligrams unless they were abusing Seroquel. I took 300 milligrams every day for a while, and then it was 250, and then it was 200, and so on and so forth. Eventually, it got down to 50 about a month ago. And I'm type 1 diabetic too, and that's another. They're like, oh, well, your blood sugar's changing all the time. That could be another reason for the feelings you're having, or you're antisocial. And I don't really believe that I'm antisocial. I don't necessarily believe in psychopathy in general. I don't think a lack of a chemical causes someone to be a lack of a person. I don't necessarily believe in that. Because there are people that are non-violent, And I could also say, oh, it's genetics. In my family on either side, mainly my dad's side, there's schizophrenia, and there's bipolar disorder, and disorders aren't really passed down in that sense. It's more of the chemical imbalance is inherited, not the specific chemical imbalance that causes a specific disorder. That's more environmental. But I was more prone, you could say I was more prone this or that. And to me, honestly, it was all fucking bullshit. I knew what was going on. When I got diagnosed with multiple personality disorder, I did it for fun. I thought that they would give me more drugs if I pretended like I had voices in my head or someone else was in control of me. Then the things I was doing to get drugs weren't my fault anymore. Or this personality is an addict and this one's not, so I don't even remember what he did. Shit like that. And to me, it was all addiction. At least for me. That's not, it's a 1% of a 1%er kind of thing. But now that I almost have I have 2.5 years clean now off of every substance except for caffeine, I guess, if you want to count that. But I'm not gonna rob my parents and steal from a grocery store to get caffeine. It's not exactly the same. It's not the same level of life degradation. But I haven't even gotten to the point yet. She called me and told me, hey, you're done with therapy now. Like, you finished. She's like, we don't normally, this isn't usually people will stop coming. They'll age out of it, go to a different therapy, or they'll die, whatever, or nothing will improve. They'll kind of go and not really actually improve anything. And she was like, yeah, I remember what you were like when you were younger. And people could also say maybe it was just a phase. All teenagers are like that. Not necessarily, statistically. But what I'm getting at here is that I finished psychiatry for myself. She's like, well, you're not taking medication at all anymore, and it's seemingly, after not taking the medication, your life has improved. And I'm going to tell you guys straight up something here. I, honestly, the whole time I was in therapy a few years ago, I was just trying to get more drugs. Even if it made my brain feel as if it was numb, that was considerably better to me than the feelings I already was having of numbness in a sense of, you know, not feeling those good feelings and only experiencing the bad. So you know, you get really numb to bad occurrences. But when you know, they give you these certain drugs, which I don't necessarily believe in any prescription other than for debilitating disorders, but I could still function with what I had going on. And honestly, to this day, I still have no idea what was going on. I can say with utmost certainty that I am a drug addict, and I forever, in my opinion, forever will be. It's still in my behaviors and whatever, but I'm regimented now. I have awareness of myself and my faults and, you know, everything that can go with that. So, you know, I'm aware of what, as soon as I take this or take one of those, or, you know, maybe I think, you know, it's been long enough or whatever bullshit I want to tell myself, you know, for me personally, then it's going to be, you know, one is never enough for me for things that cause a dopamine release. And you could say that's like the genetic thing. I make less dopamine and serotonin than you're supposed to. So maybe drugs make me feel normal. When really, the thing that I am getting at here is that whatever way you came out is normal. There's no, you know, you could go to cultural norms. It's societally, it's what's normal. It's not really what's normal for you because you're already born and exist. There's no changing that. You can inhibit or, you know, go against certain behaviors by pushing and shoving, whatever. But, you know, and I don't even believe in the true nature thing. It's like, this is how you were born to act, and this is how you will always act. I don't really believe in that either, because my thoughts, my core thoughts and ideals have changed so drastically that I've read journals and looked at posts online for myself, and it doesn't feel like that was me in any sense. I looked different, I sounded different, and that's due to age as well, and, you know, I exercise a lot more now, but the wording, like the nomenclature was different, you know what I mean? Every aspect was different, and now, you know, she's like, yeah, you're done. And I was just, I was at work, because I never go in anymore to my psychiatric appointments because I have work. So I just tell her to call me because I work somewhere where it's loud as shit, and, you know, they can hear you if you got headphones, but you can't really call someone on the phone unless you go outside. So no one could hear what I was saying, so it was fine. I just do it over the phone. And she's like, yeah, you're done. And that's, I know I've repeated that now, but it's still odd to me. You know, I could say, oh, you know, my mental health journey or whatever. I honestly also think that is bullshit. A mental health journey is your entire fucking life. Even if you have good mental health, everyone has issues, and I don't really. And today, with the way the DSM-5 is structured, any one person could be given at least a small amount or even a majority of the classifications for like 50 different personality disorders. Just regular personality traits that we think is like, oh, that's good or that's bad. Well, you know, what's the rate? You know, what are the variables? Is this normal? And that's really that's the question. Is this normal? And that's a fucking stupid question. I I understand that I want to be a psychologist, which is probably weird for someone saying this, but I think a lot of the shit is for money or for self-improvement of ego. Because I've seen therapists where they wanted to fix me to make themselves feel better about their own personal life, which is fucking terrible. They feel like they if they get this child to not be depressed anymore or to stop hurting themselves or doing drugs, that they've done something for the world. And maybe they have, they have. I'm not saying they haven't, but to me everything is for personal gain, even if it's emotional. So, and that's a thought that stuck with me and why I didn't want to do therapy and why I went. But the reason I continued therapy was my interest in psychological disorders, because I was given so many that I didn't feel like I had, and I felt like I faked, because I did. I mean, there was so many times I was like, I don't feel like myself. I pretended to. I mean, and it's terrible. I'll say that it's disgusting, honestly. I'm going to smile at this because I still think it's funny. I would fake a panic attack. Just I mean, and then I realized, and this made me emotionally disconnected from others, that everyone else could be faking how they're feeling and what they're doing for an ulterior motive. And that's really what I was doing. I remember going to juvie and thinking, and this is insane. This is real insanity, and this is why I believe wholeheartedly that my main and really only issue is my addictive personality. And so it was my first day in what wouldn't be, but was supposed to be in conclusion, a 180-day sentence at a juvenile detention center. I'd been there before, of course. I can't remember which time this was, but my thought was that if I were to be nice to the nurse and was good with my medication, my diabetes medication, then upon release, my mother, who knew the nurse outside of juvie, which was helpful for getting medication, that she would trust me more easily, quicker at the end of my sentence, so that the cabinet with my meds would be unlocked so I could get them without asking my mom to get them and unlock the cabinet, because I was nice to the nurse half a year before that. So in theory, when I was nice to the nurse and when I was cooperative, I wasn't being nice to the nurse or anyone there out of actual goodness. I was being nice to them because more than 6 months from then, I wanted to be able to do drugs quicker. I wanted the cabinet to be unlocked and to have trust, start building trust when no trust, a negative amount of trust existed between me and my parents. And I thought, if I take these small steps now, and I was always thinking months and years in advance with every social interaction. Not once actually becoming friends with anyone. Everyone was a variable for my next use. And that's fucking crazy. I mean, it is. And that's why the stuff that we've known for thousands of years, with meditation and mindfulness and things that, ancient human beings and is mentioned in the Bible a lot, mindfulness and living in the moment and appreciating the moment causes your mental health to drastically improve, because the moment that you start thinking ahead at a social level is the moment you lose, to me, really any social connection. Because it's not a friendship. It's not a relationship. if you, get a girlfriend because you think, well, I'll have children with this girl, and then she'll have to marry me, and then if I'm married, then you're thinking all these steps ahead, and as soon as one of those little things changes, everything in your brain fucking explodes. Oh man, the nurse didn't like what I said this one time, and now everything's fucked. Now I gotta, and you're rewriting your whole future in your head, and you're like, well, now everything's pushed ahead, and you never get ahead that way. If you sincerely exist momentarily at a time, like we all do, but we just refuse to be aware of, and you truly capture your own mortality, as in dying could happen now, later, or 100 years from now, then the appreciation for the moment is blown out of proportion. I'm not saying be spontaneous with everything, and I'm not saying not have goals either. It's good to have general goals, like I want to be a psychologist. If something is to get in the way of that, I still want to be a psychologist, but I don't want to map out the whole rest of my life in that. You know what I mean? That's an aspiration rather than a goal, maybe. But I don't want to, and that's really, for me, that's where I see the patterns. Because when I did, I don't really want to get into that too much, but I did this exercise basically and wrote down good and bad qualities of myself and interactions with others, basically. Some of you will know from what program I'm speaking about, and I found that exact pattern, that it was never, I had no consideration for what the things I was doing actually affected my subconscious. None. Not the music I was listening to, the people I was talking to, the things I said and didn't believe in, just to get to that next high with the least amount of consequences. And if you live your life like that, you never live your life. Not once. Not one day do you actually live your life. You're living someone else's life because you feel like you're only yourself when you're high. And it's just not true. I don't really, I don't hate other people for doing drugs. I don't hate the media for advertising drug use. And to me, mood or mind altering substances like alcohol is drug use, because you can look at death rates or addiction rates or whatever. To me, it's a drug. So, I don't differentiate between alcohol or whatever, because people say, well, why don't you just drink then? I tried that, and I ended up in a ditch multiple times, or I ended up in juvie, or I had to get my stomach pumped once because I decided that 40 ounces of whiskey was just enough for a 15-year-old that was underweight. I thought that was, a casual Friday afternoon. And it really, what boils down to what I'm saying is it's in the realization of all of this, and through the struggle that I myself put myself through, that I ended up where I am and who I am with the knowledge that I have. And I could hate every second that I spent staring at a wall, or I could hate everyone that didn't do exactly what I thought they would do based on what I did. But that's fucking insane. So stop thinking that way. Touch some grass, okay? Go outside. Just look at stuff. Let your mind wander, and let yourself wander too. 1 second if you want to use a bathroom, and the next do 10 push-ups, do that. Let yourself really exist without thinking all these steps ahead, just to get that one thing that's never going to be enough. And for me, that was, I mean, that's addiction for me. It was the next thing that would never be enough, and it would never match the first time. It never did. Not once. It was never worth it. After the first time I got high, it was never worth it again. But I just wanted it to be. And in my mind, I thought if I do more, or this mix, or this amount, then, you know, things will get better, you know. And people will say, I'm sure that in the comments of this, if I were to post this right and put the right tags, congratulations on your clean time, congratulations on your mental health, whatever. And the real issue that people aren't really seeing is that there is no congratulations in order. There is none. I mean the level of people and money that even I owed the government it for a while, and I had to work just to pay back fees that I put the government through, even, which I know everyone has to do that, but I mean, if you're already starting at the state of Ohio, it goes down from there. Then it affects my parents and my friends and even their pets, maybe. I don't fucking know. You know, and when I really sat down and I thought about everything that I did over time, it was like, oh, congratulations for finishing this, or you finished rehab, you finished this IOP, and you know, oh, you know, you're really an inspiration for others. I'm not trying to be an inspiration for anyone else. And maybe I'm self-centered. Maybe I'm narcissistic. Maybe I made this video because I wanted people to think that I was inspirational. But the fact of the matter is, I'm saying this for the person that feels exactly as I did or I do now. There's no amount of anything that's worth that much. You know, there just isn't. I can be happy. I don't fake expressions anymore. You know, that was one thing my therapist was telling me a lot of people can't get over. I don't smile when I don't want to. You know, just little things like that. And it's over time it's grown to me realizing that a lot of all the problems I caused and the relationships I ruined were my fault. And I just said I, so that's contradictory to the statement, but everything I did was my fault. I could blame God, but that's ridiculous and false. I could blame the healthcare system. I could blame my parents. I could blame whoever. But none of it was any one person's fault. It was mine, realistically. And I could listen to the first 20 times someone tried to help me, but I didn't. Or, you know, I could have listened at school in DARE, you know, and listened more in DARE class when they were talking about the side effects rather than how it makes you feel. And also, DARE is a terrible program. It makes kids use drugs more because teenagers are inherently defiant. So, abolish DARE also. Anyways, that's really all I have for today. I don't know if this would help anyone at all, but I just kind of wanted to get it out there, and it maybe more for myself in the future to watch this, you know, and see where I am now to where I'm going. You know, I have a girlfriend of over a year that I plan on marrying. All these things that and to be honest, and this is where the real, you know, I didn't want to record for any more than half an hour, but I'll finish with this. I hadn't planned at 13 and my grandiose plans of how life would go for me and all the drugs I would do and things I would get away with. I hadn't planned my life prolonging past 16 years old. So, you know, and inherently the thing, the planning and the looking ahead and the manipulation that I thought myself to be the master of, I was only manipulating myself into dying. That was it. And I did overdose. I lived, of course, clearly, but I did overdose more than once. Died, heart stop, everything. And you know, I'm profoundly lucky. That's really the that's where all of this leads me in my mind, is that I'm lucky. The people around me and people that thought, you know, maybe I was worth a few hours of their time a day if I were to if I listened, you know, then I hated my psychiatrist, you know, and I wanted to. Whoa, why am I yawning so much? I slept for like 10 hours. I blamed everyone but myself, as I said before. But in reality, all the plans that I had, I didn't plan on living past 16. And I almost didn't. And when I did, and then I got clean, reluctantly at first, and then vehemently, you know, towards the end, and now in what's hopefully the middle is the rest of my life, however long that may be. I plan on being clean, at least from unless someone were to drug me, but I wouldn't actually count that as a relapse. But you know, that's how I really feel. And sometimes I absolutely hate everyone around me. I hate work. I hate school. I even hate YouTube. Clearly, it's been a little over a month. And I wish I had infinite time for all of those things individually, but I don't. And I think that's why I dislike them. Sometimes I want to be left alone forever, or be with my girlfriend and not have to move, or sit in a dark room, or not have to go inside, you know. And it's all unrealistic thinking, and I'm aware of that now. And you know, that's kind of the conclusion as to where I'm at right now in my life. I could say that, you know, I wouldn't be the person I am without the bad things that happen to me. But in truth, I made myself the person I am, and I hate some of the stuff that I did to myself. I could blame my concussion on the person who knocked me out. I could blame the school for not doing anything about it. I could blame so many people, so many things. And, you know, I could even blame myself in active addiction. You know, if drugs just weren't invented, you know, then God, the talk is making me tired, so I'm not going to sleep. I have homework to do and exercise to be raw out. But yeah, I hope everyone has a fantabulous day. And there's gonna be some videos coming out here quite soon, with actual editing. Of course, this is raw beef. And I think this is the rawest beef, the most tenderized beef that you might get out of me. I'm usually a bit more funny, silly, cynical in these videos, but today I think I'll be grateful. I think I'll choose to be grateful for everything, really, and almost intensely grateful for you know, being a drug addict and having terrible mental health crises, because I feel like I'd be quite fucking boring without that. And now that I've recovered from a psychological and psychiatric standpoint, and I have routine and structure in my life that I seek to pursue. I think I'll just be grateful, and rather than nihilistic or whatever other bullshit people tell themselves to make them seem like their lives being bad is okay and natural. Um, you know, and you know, as it were, me and Tupac bid you adieu, a Mountain Dew, rather. And I really gotta get this fucking homework done. But I've had to record something. Nothing else has really been going on. Just tired, hungry, as usual. Still diabetic. I don't think they're ever gonna cure that, but who knows, Somebody get on that. Fix my pancreas, you scallywag. Anyways, I hope everyone has a wonderful day. I think I already said that. And when I get to the point where I repeat myself, it's a clear indication that I've run out of shit to talk about. So, I think that's it for today for Raw Beef. If you have any questions or concerns, type it in the comments below. If you want to say Among Us sus balls in the comments, that's fine too, Do you. Be yourself in the comments section. Just not that much. I don't need to know about your own personal problems. Unless you really want to tell me about it. Maybe I'll even make a video about your own life issues. To publicize your depression to other people. Anyways, guys, don't post videos of yourself crying on Snapchat. That just means you have signs of antisocial personality disorder. It does not mean that you're really sad. Sad people don't talk about it. And, that's also was a generalization. So hate me in the comments for that. But hey, that's just a theory. Game theory. Rock out with thy cock out. This has been John Beefy. Back at it again with another outro. Goodbye.